Hey everyone, it's Jace, and welcome to my guide for Very Hard Grastia Path. I'll be showing you how I approach the dungeon, I'll show you what all the enemies are, and I'll show you how I built my team around what the enemies were. So to start off, let's actually take a look at the enemies we'll be facing in the dungeon. We're going to be starting off with the Astral Iron Giant. This fight's going to just take a while, you need to bring some physical attack down in order to deal with him. Next we're going to face Rufus. Rufus is more vulnerable to physical attacks than magic, but as you'll see, we're going to be running a full magic team anyway. It's only Darkstar who's actually weak to ice. Rufus himself is not weak to ice. After that, we're going to be fighting the Behemoth, so we're going to be needing physical X Ruinra in order to deal with his stream phase. And actually, it's interesting because for this dungeon, you actually need magic X Ruinra to deal with Rufus's stream phase, so you're going to need actually both types of X Ruinras in order to get through this dungeon. Next, we're going to be fighting the Specimen. He has the AoE poison. Here are his immunities. He's not really weak to anything, but he only resists thunder. And then last but not least, we have the Dragonfight, who is weak to nothing, but resists nothing, and hits pretty hard. And he is flanked by two of these Varja Didgeridoo dudes. So I'll show you how I handle that fight once we get into the actual video. But those are all the enemies that you're going to be facing. Now, as for my team, I decided to go with a full magic setup because there are a couple of trance abilities where after you fight bosses, you can choose between boosting your physical attack or your magic attack. The strongest non-elemental weapon that I have is actually Tifa's Power Soul, so I decided to just build around that and make a full magic team. Before I get into my actual team setup, just one more thing I want to point out is if you take a look down here at the just additional effects on the Crisis Dungeon, ice, fire, and lightning potency are all reduced by 50%, 50. So if you're planning on bringing Thunder God Cloud, or Fire God Cloud, or Ice God Sephiroth, or so on and so forth, that's probably not going to work out very well for you. Hey, maybe it will. Feel free to try it out. It's your game. Wind Goddess Yuffie might work. Wind Goddess Aerith might also work, but just a couple of ideas if you don't have any strong non-elemental damage. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the team that I built for this. So I'm bringing Tifa. I actually maxed out the magic in her growth stream just for this, but I've also been looking for an excuse to do that anyway. She's rocking the Amaranth costume. That's just really just giving us extra HP. The physical ability potency isn't really going to serve us here. We have an OB6 Power Soul in her main hand. In her offhand, we have leather gloves. That's going to help out with the Iron Giant, like I mentioned before. And she's bringing level 5 Bahamut. If you're seeing this and you're thinking, wow, Jace, this is going to be super unrelatable, don't worry. I have guides for very hard EX1 and EX2 Bahamut. I'll leave links to them in the description below. For her materia, she has a 4-star X Ruinra, stat stick, but also for stream phases. A 3-star X Ruinra blow. Again, I mentioned that we need both physical and magical X Ruinra for this. And then a Circle Ruinra. You're going to need Circle for the Dragon fight, so I brought one for Tifa. For her sub-weapons, she's rocking an OB4 Sun Umbrella, the OB7 Edged Wings from Sephiroth, and that's just to give her more magic attack, and an OB5 Absolute Royal from Matt, again, just for magic attack. We're not relying on the ice potency at all. Here are Tifa's R abilities if you'd like to see them. All of her HP stat is coming from her costume and Power Soul, which is kind of wild. Next up is Sephiroth. He's rocking Kuja's attire. In the main hand, he has Kuja's Spirit Blade. This is not necessary for this Crisis Dungeon. I just wanted an additional weapon that was going to reduce physical attack, and it just so happened that I had Kuja's Spirit Blade. You don't need Kuja's Spirit Blade to get through this at all. In his offhand, we have the Shinra Blade Model 1. This is for some non-elemental magic damage. We have a 4-star Circle Ruinra here, a 3-star X Ruinra, and then a 3-star X Ruinra Blow. And then for his Limit Break, I'm just bringing his standard Limit Break Astral Gate at level 10. For his sub-weapons, we have Canyon Collar. This is Red 13's new weapon, and this is I'm just bringing it for the magic attack. We have Matt's Holiday Cane, and then we have Feather Scatter. Here are Sephiroth's R abilities if you're interested in seeing them. And last but not least, we have Matt, who's going to be functioning as our healer for this run. So a little bit, it's been a while since I used Matt as a healer. Killer attire, prime number in the main hand, And then in the offhand, we have Stingray. This is going to help Tifa and Sephiroth's damage quite a bit. This is a magic defense down weapon in case you haven't seen it before. We're running just a level 1 gigantic shield format, just for some defensive utility. We have a 4-star X Ruinra Blow, a 4-star X Ruinra, and then we're bringing a healing Azuna for poison. There's a poison resist 100% trance ability in this. I'm not taking it because you have to sacrifice quite a bit of damage in order to take that, and frankly, dealing with poison on all 3 of your party members is not that hard. I'll show you how I do it in the run, but I don't understand why people freak out about it so much. For sub-weapons, I'm bringing an OB6 Hardcore Squad, that's just for the healing, a 4-point Shuriken for some HP and some debuff extension, and Aerith's Guard Stick at Overboost 1, because even at Overboost 1 it provides more healing than most other things that I have available. And here are Matt's R abilities if you're interested in seeing them. Alright, so that's the team we're running. Let's get into the run. So for the beginning of the dungeon, you really only have one option. You have to go straight into fighting the Iron Giant. I'm going to speed up this fight because it's a little bit slow, just because he has a lot of HP. He's going to open up with Helm Splitter, which is a single target physical attack. I recommend lowering his physical attack before he gets this off. I do so using just the Flare Star ability from Kuja's Spirit Blade, but you really, again, don't need Kuja's Spirit Blade to make this Crisis Dungeon work. You can see it takes a very long time in between his hits, and if you keep a close eye on his body language, you can switch to defensive stance for basically every single attack that he uses, even the ones that aren't telegraphed with a bar and are just auto attacks, so to speak. Really just taking my time and slowly whittling him down, throwing up a magic defense down whenever I can. He's going to use In Spirit, which raises his physical attack. You should reduce it with the weapons you've brought that reduce physical attack. I brought 2 of them. I brought Tifa's Omni Strike from her leather gloves, in addition to Kuja's Spirit Blade. So just lower his physical attack before he gets Grand Sword off, because it's an AoE physical attack that hits decently hard. Even though he's the first boss, he still just chunked us for half of our HP. Other than that, you can use limit breaks to interrupt his abilities, like I did just there. I'm still going to be switching to defensive stance whenever I can, just to mitigate some damage. Even some of his auto attacks will start to become AoE attacks towards the end of the fight. But again, as long as you just stay focused, even though the fight takes a while, there's nothing to worry about. This fight is going to be slow for everybody, just because they gave us the first boss that has a lot of HP. He's very tanky. His mechanics aren't too difficult, but he does take a while. He can go into a stream phase, where he's going to be doing some attacks during it. You can interrupt it with limit breaks like I did here. This is a standard X sigil phase. Just go ahead and break it. And I'm able to break it just before he's going to get this hit off on my party. And then we can just go ahead and finish off the fight here. And that is the Iron Giant. Only 42,000 score, not the best. A 2-minute and 20-second fight because he's tanky. And for the trance ability, I'm not taking the poison resist, I'm taking the magic attack buff. Up here, we're going to have our first random encounter. It's going to be against a Trip Hop Anonymous, a Twin Brain, and a Varja Didgeridoo. The Twin Brain and the Varja Didgeridoo are weaker than the Trip Hop Anonymous, so I recommend focusing those down first. If you're somebody who sees these guys and freaks out, I'll let you know how to fight them right now. They go through cycles, so their AoE attacks are what are known as gravity attacks. They deal damage based on your current HP. Those cannot kill you. However, they'll use Screech, stunning one of your party members, and after they stun one of your party members, they'll use single target attacks, Thundara and Aroga. Those can kill you. However, they pretty reliably always come after Screech, so you know when you need to switch to defensive stance, you know when you need to heal up, so on and so forth. So it's a pretty cyclical fight. I'm going to skip ahead so we don't have to watch all this because the Trip Hop Anonymous has a decent amount of HP, but eventually we just whittle him down. So that's that random encounter. Up next, we're going to grab this chest, grab the shiny here, and then we're actually going to head backwards and go fight Rufus. So I'm going to use a Magic Jelly on Tifa. We have Behemoth up, so we're going to be leveraging that during this fight. Here's the Rufus fight. I thought that I just wanted to make sure I could kill Darkstar before they got this first attack off. I didn't know if Behemoth was going to be able to pull it off, so I put a magic defense down debuff on Darkstar, and I go into megaflare. So I don't know if you know this, but level 5 megaflare is extremely powerful. I used Astral Flare or Astral Gate after megaflare just in case megaflare wasn't going to kill Darkstar, but literally the first half of the damage from megaflare just absolutely massacred him. So Astral Gate ends up going into Rufus, which is great. Allows us to get Rufus's HP down a little bit more, and I figured I'd throw out the Gigantic Shield just to boost the damage of the other two and provide some mitigation. If you're able to kill Darkstar before Rufus's first attack goes off, it goes from Thunderstrike to, or Thunderclap to the weaker version there, and it doesn't really hit all that hard if you can kill Darkstar very quickly. If you can't, just be ready to take some damage, switch to defensive stance, lower Rufus's or physical attack if you need to, blah blah blah. So I mentioned this during the enemy overview, but Rufus takes more physical damage than magic damage. He actually mitigates magic damage by like 50% or something like that. But I'm still going to use a full magic team. Be ready for that stream phase. It's very quick, and if you face him later in the dungeon, it can go from 3 sigils to 5 sigils. I'm facing him second, so it's only 3 sigils, very easy to deal with. Another pro of bringing a full magic team is Rufus's Up in Smoke applies fatigue, but we don't care because we're using all magic abilities for our damage. Here's the stream phase where he counters physical attacks. Again, we don't care about the counter because we're an all magic team, and I decided to just ignore the stream phase because he's almost dead and just finish him off. 61,000 points for a 57-second fight is pretty good, and for the trance ability, I'm going to be taking the physical defense. I decided not to take the magic attack because I took magic attack in the beginning, and I just really wanted to be safe. So grab the chest. I'm going to loop around here to go to the boss fight up there. I don't recommend going to the right because you can get a random encounter potentially. I use a tent and a magic jelly, and we go and fight the Behemoth. I don't really think the tent was necessary, but I just wanted to be safe. Now the Behemoth's attacks here at the beginning are scripted. He's going to do 4 of these single target swipes, and then after he's done 4 of those, he's going to do a powerful single target heave. I know this is coming because again, it's scripted, so I'm going to swap to defensive stance before he uses the heave on Matt, and we're going to mitigate that. After that, he's going to chill for a little bit, and then he's going to go into Body Slam, which is an AoE physical attack against your entire party. Behemoth's physical attack can be debuffed, it's just his defense that can't be debuffed. So I'm going to rely on the Kuta Spirit Blade to reduce physical attack, only because I'd rather Tifa continue to deal damage as opposed to reducing physical attack herself. And with our physical defense buff, that's how much damage the Body Slam does, so really not a whole lot. Like I mentioned, I probably didn't need to use the tent that I used, but this is actually my first run through the dungeon. I checked out a couple of other videos just to plan things out, but I hadn't really faced anything myself yet. We use Astral Gate just to delay the alert stream phase a little bit, but this is the stream phase where he will counter you if you use any magic attacks. That's why we brought those physical X Ruiner blows. We're going to get through this pretty quickly. And then from there, we're just going to be using magic attacks to finish off the fight. And that's the Behemoth. $61,000 points for a 1 minute and 6 second fight. And for the trance ability, we don't need physical attacks, so we're just going to take even more physical defense. We're going to use a magic jelly on Tifa, and then we're going to head into the Specimen fight. So the Specimen is going to open up by using an AoE physical attack that applies poison to your entire party. I brought a Healing Azuna for poison on Matt, and I didn't take the poison trance ability because I wasn't going to sacrifice 30% magic attack up, and poison is really not that hard to deal with. I'm going to show you how to deal with it right now. So our healer has some ATB stocked up, we swap to defensive stance. This attack isn't going to deal that much damage because we have a lot of physical defense up for my trance abilities. I'm going to take us out of defensive stance and just Healing Azuna one party member, Healing Azuna another party member. I used a limit break there because he was about to hit us with an auto attack, and I figured it may as well just go ahead and delay him and mitigate it. I'm going to swap to my other party members, do a little bit of damage, and oh look, Matt has 3 more ATB, we can remove another poison. So I do that. There you go. Everybody needs to stop freaking out about poison. It's really not that hard to address. Anyway, we're going to keep dealing some damage to the boss. He uses Drain Touch, which is a single target physical attack. It heals him. I'm not sure if it's based on the amount of damage he deals or what, but it's going to heal him either way, so just be ready for that, but not by too much. He's going to go into a stream phase. I decided I wasn't going to respect this stream phase because he was dying pretty quickly. I interrupt whatever attack he's going to do during the stream phase there using megaflare and Astral Gate. I won't make you watch it again, but 157,000 damage. That's the end of the fight. 61,000 points for a 51-second fight. And for the trance ability, we're going to be taking the magic defense duration up because we're running a magic team. Come up here and grab these chests. The enemies that he summons will use a couple of abilities, and if you don't kill them fast enough, their abilities will get stronger. Just kill them, I guess. We have another ad encounter here. I mentioned earlier that this fight isn't really that hard, but you just saw me use a limit break, and that's because I'm going to take advantage of the fact that they gave us very strong ads here that are very predictable and easy if you understand their mechanics to do something super scummy. I'm going to farm back all of my limit breaks and summons. Yes, including Mega Flare. So I'm going to be sitting here, swapping to defensive stance, using the Ruinra blows on Tifa and Sephiroth, and just healing up with Matt. And we're literally going to sit here until everything's charged up. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch it. Everything's back now. We're good to go. And so that's how I actually use that second ad encounter to our benefit. We run around here, grab this chest, and I end up using a supplement, a tent, and magic jellies on Sephiroth and Tifa. Probably didn't need to use the tent or the supplement, and you're going to see why as we go into the dragon fight. So I use a flare star, I hit the dragon with a magic defense down, and before any of the enemies can do anything, I use gigantic shield, Astral Gate, and mega flare.
No, 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 no.
That's the end of the... Links to the Behemoth guides in the description. You enjoyed the guide? Let me know in the comments. Oh gosh.